Church, as well as to all of us that are gathered together today. In the book of the Acts of the Apostles, the 18th chapter and the 10th verse, Acts 18 and 10. If you have your Bibles, it should say this: "For I am with thee, and no man shall set on thee to hurt thee, for I have much people in this city." Will you repeat that with me? "For I am with thee, and no man shall set on thee to hurt thee, for I have much people in this city. Once again, "For I am with thee, and no man shall set on thee to hurt thee, for I have much people in this city." Will you look at your neighbor, take one neighbor and look them in the eye and say, "Neighbor, it's too soon to quit."
Thank you, I received that.
Seated in the presence of God. It's too soon to quit. Say that with me again. It's too soon to quit.
Amen.
My brothers and sisters, this text that I have recited or read in your hearing chronicles the closing events of Paul's second missionary journey. We join Paul as he leaves the city of Athens, which was proverbial or known for its idolatry. And we arrived with him at the city of Corinth, which was proverbial or known for its immorality. One writer, seeking to capture the depravity or sinful nature of Corinth, recorded, "They loved money. They rocked in the chair of luxury, and they lived for things that were seen and temporal." If I had known any better, I would have thought he was talking about us. But it was to this depraved city of Corinth that Paul brought the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm sure those of you who have been members of the Christian community remember, if not verbally, you remember the life and the saga and the history of this man called the Apostle Paul. It was Paul who on one occasion said, "For I am not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God unto salvation." You remember Paul. It was he who said in 2 Corinthians 5:1, he said, "For we know that if this earthly house of this tabernacle were dissolved, we have another building, a house not made with hands." Yes, it was Paul who said in Romans 8:28 that we know that all things
Work together.
I thought I would have a few Bible readers.
All
Work
things
together for the
of
good
those who love the
to
Lord.
them that love the Lord and who are called according to his purpose.
Amen.
It was Paul who said that, "For I am persuaded that neither height nor depth, nor things present, nor things to come, nor any other creature shall be able to separate us from the love of God." You remember Paul. It was Paul who sat behind the walls and bars of a prison and decided to write to his son Timothy. And hear him in 2 Timothy sharing and writing to his son, saying, Timothy, for I am now ready to be offered, and the time of my departure is at hand. I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. Henceforth, there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, shall give me at that day, but not only to me, but to all who love his appearing. It was Paul, whom God had to attack, to knock down on the road to Damascus. It was Paul, whose name was once Saul, who stood as they stoned the first deacon of the church. Somebody need to talk to me. A man by the name of Stephen, and as they were stoning Stephen, he looks up and he says, I see Jesus sitting on the right hand of the throne of God. This was Paul. It was Paul who said, though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, and have not the love, or in the King James Version, charity, I become as a sounding brass and a tinkling cymbal. Fact of the matter is that over half of the New Testament was written by this gentleman named Paul. And so the question came to my mind as I meditated and looked at all that this man had written and all that he had shared with the church at Ephesus, and with the church at Thessalonica, with the church at Corinth. The question that came to my mind was, what was it that would cause such a stalwart, bulwark preacher of the gospel to come to the place where he wanted to quit? I know that he wanted to quit because the Bible lets us know, if you were to read beginning at the beginning part of the 18th chapter of the book of Acts, it says that when Paul left, or when he arrived in Athens, you remember I told you that Athens was known for its idolatry. They worshiped God who had eyes that couldn't see, ears that couldn't hear, feet that couldn't go and extricate their subjects from disaster or trouble. And while Paul was in Athens, he was there preaching against idolatry. But by the time he got to Corinth, his fire had gone out. He was rejected and dejected on the altar of his own soul. So you might ask, Bishop Carswell, what was it that brought the Apostle Paul to the place that he wanted to quit?
Okay.
What is it that brings us to the place where we want to quit? I'm glad you asked. The reason I believe that Paul wanted to quit is because of something called fatigue.
Come on, talk about it.
I thought I had a church in here. In other words, y'all, the man was tired. And I don't care how holy you are. I don't care how long you've been a member of the church. I don't care who your mama and them was, or y'all ain't gonna talk to me. I don't care, you may be bishop, apostle, pope, or whatever. Every now and then, you gonna get tired. They used to say it down in Miami, Florida, Liberty City, where I was born and raised. They used to say, the spirit is willing, but the flesh
It's weak.
is weak. And that's where we have a problem with pastors. Many of us feel that pastors ought to be like Superman and Batman be able just to swoop in our lives and in our situations, and that whenever we call them, they ought to be there. But what you've got to realize that preachers are human. Come on, y'all holler at your boy. Just like you are.